Hey everybody, this is Brody from Brody's Garage. Today is December 14th. This is episode 68. Hey everybody, welcome back. Happy holidays to you out there. I hope you're all doing well. And as we wind down 2024, I have an update for you with my 67 Nova build. I have some good news and some not so good news. The first part is the good news, and that is I've been getting some interior work done. Some of you might be following me on Facebook or Instagram. You might have seen some of the leaked photos, but I want to show you now some carpet work that I had done recently. So check this out. I got my carpet done here in town by a place called Fraga Upholstery, and I gotta say, after a couple of very disappointing inquiries with other shops, this guy took me in and did a really nice job. I'm actually really pleased with what he did. This is basic, standard, non-premium grade carpet. I compared it to the German square weave, which everybody raves about, and I thought was gonna be what I was gonna do. But when I saw the samples and I kept going back and forth, to me this looked better, it felt better, and it was about half the price of the square weave, so I went with it. I did have Jorge do some nice binding here. So this piece comes down and is cut and is sewn together with the floor piece with a piece of binding, and it's white stitching to match my TMI upholstery. So I'm really happy with this. He made floor mats for me with the rubber backing, front and back. Yep. I put my back seat in there, and the front seats are bolted in. We still have to make the center console, as you can see. And he's got my dash pad, which if you recall in the last episode, I modified my dash pad to extend around this bar here, and I had to cut out the notch for this, which took some time. I had to build it up with some spray foam and all that stuff. He's got the dash pad. We're going to redo my package tray back here. I made this as a 3-piece, 1, 2, and 3, and I think we're just gonna make it again as a single solid piece out of MDF, and I'll just remove the down bars there because I made this all unbolt. So we're gonna redo that basically just like it is, but in a single piece. Probably the crowning jewel here is the trunk, which I'm going to cut away to show you what this looks like with the panels that he made installed. And the panels are removable so that you can pop out each section left, right, and forward to reveal these different compartments. And I gotta say, I'm really pleased with how things turned out. You will notice it right here. He made a little pop-out false floor panel there. So down below that, I've got additional storage space. I still have my access door to my fuel pumps, and I've got room to throw in jumper cables, battery charger. So I've got all kinds of options here with the trunk. What I decided to do, because my original Rhodes Intercooler ice tank is this bulky square cube thing that just really didn't fit in there. It stuck out to like this. So what I decided to do was I scrapped my previous idea of going with boost control from a small compressor and an air tank, which I'll explain in a moment, and I just went back to the original idea of a CO2 tank, which I got from Motion Raceworks. I bought a lot of stuff from those guys. Made myself a little mount there by taking a piece of leftover chrome moly tubing from my roll cage, 1 5/8. Bought 2 additional clamps, mounted the tubing to the floor, and then this bracket to the tubing. So that guy lives right there, and that'll basically be a constant source of pressure for my MAC valves up front to fine-tune my boost control. And you can really dial in a nice curve with this. As you remember, I put my little subwoofer up there. My amps are forward of that. Over here, I made a little electronics hub. And this, by the way, was a wonderful little brainstorm here. I was struggling with how am I going to get all this stuff, these components, to live in this very small compartment, which, if you can see over here, it's about the same size width, just about 6-7 inches wide. How am I going to cram all that stuff in there? Well, I posted about it on a forum, I forget which one, LSX or something like that. And some guy showed me that he made one vertical. I'm like, oh my God, that's brilliant. Why didn't I think of that? So got a piece of 1/2-inch plywood, cut that out, made some mounts for it. It mounts up there. it mounts here, which this piece of wood is sort of the rest for one of those trunk panels that Jorge made. And I decided to countersink a hole, make another bolt through there, and one that ties to this and goes through the floorboard. So it's pretty secure. I've got a battery cutoff switch. I've got positive and negative junction blocks, which I can, as you can see, I've just got this stuff loose right now. I've got my relay panel, some inline fuse holders, and yeah, I think it's a really nice looking little tidy setup. And it all, of course, is concealed behind my hideaway panel there. So I just got to finish up terminating all those connections. And this little recess cavity right there is going to be the home of a new custom-made intercooler ice water tank. So I've been working on a drawing in SketchUp right now. I think I've got it fine-tuned, and I just sent off my order for Send Cut Send to have those pieces cut out of 1/8" aluminum, and then I will have my buddy Andrew weld that up for me. I bought some of the components right here for that. There's the filler cap right there that'll bolt in. I've got a Davies Craig water pump which will mount underneath the car. In fact, I was looking at it today, and I think I'm going to build a bracket that goes across the straps for the gas tank to support this, and then I've got to come up with a plan to route the hoses, but I think I've got that pretty well figured out. These are a couple of aluminum bungs to weld on. Not bung. This is the dash 12 for the coolant return to the tank, and this is the 16 dash, which will go right into the pump basically, and this will hang down at the bottom of the tank and go through a hole in the floorboard. So this will have a hose going to there. We'll go dash 12 forward. It'll go to my intercooler, and then it'll circulate through a heat exchanger, which let me just take you to the side of the house and show you my plan for that. Okay, so here's my front bumper, and this is a heat exchanger that I got from Edelbrock. It's probably the smallest, most compact, low profile cooler that I could find. When I had the bumper on the car, I got a tape measure and then I took some rough measurements. I think this is gonna clear, but as I know how things have gone in the past, it probably won't. So there's the plan, is it kind of sits right in there behind the front license plate. And of course, that being said, I will have to either cut this out completely or cut in some grill type of a thing or holes or some kind of a pattern to get the airflow through it. Some of the air will come through there as well, but basically the idea is that the air will come through there and get through the heat exchanger, and the idea is that this takes the cold water from the back tank in the trunk, sends it through the intercooler where it's going to pick up the hot air, bring that coolant down through the heat exchanger behind the bumper, and then return it back to the tank. That way we're not just constantly recycling the same hot fluid back and forth. Of course, if I ever do take the car to the track, I'll throw ice in the tank. That way it gets extra cold. So needless to say, I've been fairly productive here, and the upholstery came out great. I'm happy with the progress and the trunk plan so far. And now let's talk about the bad news. So the bad news is I had to pull the engine back out of the car. On the day that I took the car over to the upholstery place to get started on the carpet, I noticed some white smoke chugging out the tailpipe. I had driven the car across town to attend a Cars and Coffee about a month ago, I guess now, and kind of babied it over there. Didn't really notice any issues except for that the car was really sitting too low. So I brought the car back home, decided, well, I'm going to crank up the coilover shocks a little bit to get a little bit more clearance there. I'm under the car, and I notice something dripping between the V-bands and the exhaust system. And I'm like, what the hell is that? I kind of swiped my finger and smelled it, and just thought that it was water. And I thought, that's kind of a crazy amount of condensation, but I just kind of blew it off. Then the day I took the car to the carpet place, I noticed the smoke coming out the tailpipe, some white water vapor, predominantly on the driver's side. And once again, I thought condensation, but as the car warmed up, the issue got even worse, and it's really predominantly on the driver's side. So first thing I did is I did a compression and leak down test, and wasn't really able to get a successful leak down test. Had never really done it before, but the trick is you have to have the piston for that cylinder at true dead top dead center, and the piston has to stay there. If you go 5 degrees past, when you start to pressurize the cylinder, it shoves the piston right back down. So I struggled for hours trying to get that leak down test to work. Ultimately, I kind of gave up on the idea, but two things I did notice. I did a regular compression test where you spin it over and see how much it'll pressurize the cylinder. About all the other cylinders were doing about 175 to 180 PSI. My back number 8 cylinder on this side here, 155 PSI. So I decided to try a leak down test again. Think I got it to top dead center. As soon as I pressurized the cylinder, I could hear the pressure escaping past the pistons, apparently, because you could hear it coming out the crankcase breather right here, and you could hear it coming out the oil dipstick tube. And I thought, you know, I've got some serious blow-by issues, and to be truthful about it, ever since this car's been running, there's always been a little bit of excessive smoke coming out of this breather. So I have not been able to truly figure out where the water vapor issue lies. I got the engine out of the car, bolted it to the stand here, pulled the heads off, hoping to find a blown head gasket. I cannot see any indication of a blown head gasket, and to be honest with you, even the spark plugs all look about the same from cylinder to cylinder. So I just decided to turn this thing over to somebody else. So I took the whole short block, put the heads, gaskets, everything in the back of the SUV, and drove it up to HBR Competition Engines here in North Las Vegas. So they've had the engine now since last Wednesday, so it hasn't even been a full week yet. They've got a lot of stuff going on. I don't expect to get an answer right away, and it's just about the holidays. So that's where things are right now. The engine is at somebody else's shop waiting for diagnosis. There was one thing that I did notice when I had the engine out and I pulled the transmission loose from the back of the bell housing, and that is when I pulled one of the top bell housing bolts out, I noticed there was coolant on the threads. Now, could that have been something that happened where coolant in the process of taking out seeped down? Maybe, but that bolt was tight. I have no idea how coolant would have gotten on the threads of that bolt before I cracked it loose. So I mentioned that to the guys, told them about the ring issue and the blow-by issue, and I said, look, just tear it apart, see what you can find. If I got to put in new rings, rehone it, that's fine. I'm just praying that I don't have a crack block or heads. So I'm going to have them go through the whole thing, magnaflux it, sonic test it, whatever they need to do to get to the bottom of these issues. And my outlook is this. While it was an initial, oh shit, I got to pull this thing back out and it's a huge setback. It took me like 2 days to unbolt everything, and that's working leisurely. Pulled it out. A buddy of mine came over. Thank you, Mike, for coming over. You know, once I resigned to it, it's out now, and I'm just going to make it better than it ever was. Let's go through the entire rotating assembly. Let's reweigh everything. I want to ensure that the balance is true. So we're going to make this thing better than it ever was. In the meantime, I still have plenty to work on. I'm going to get all that trunk stuff underway. I also had some things that bugged me here. The O2 sensor bung was rubbing against this bracket right here, so I'm either going to modify the bracket or the O2 bung and fix that, along with a few other things here. And I've still got my side window glass to install and get that working, so I'm going to get that electrical hub completely finished together, get the power working throughout the car again, finish up my wiring. I did message Fraga Upholstery to see if he wants to work remotely and come over and work on the console. We'll see about that. I don't expect he'll say yes. But anyway, that's the update for right now. It's a bit of a drag that I had to pull the engine out, but it is what it is. And if it sets me back a few bucks and a couple of weeks of time to make it foolproof, then that's what it's going to be. But as soon as I get an answer from them on what happened with the engine, I'll do another update. In the meantime, I've got things to do around here. I wish you guys all a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and all that stuff, and we will talk soon. Till then, God bless. Take care. See you in the next episode.